People in Roxbury are gearing up for the November election, and that includes a presidential debate watch party. To tell us what's planned is the Civic Engagement Coordinator for the Madison Park Development Corporation, Ed Shoemaker. Ed, these are events that are sponsored by the Development Corporation and RoxVote. For a little of the history here, talk about this partnership.
So Madison Park Development Corporation has been in the community in Roxbury providing affordable housing and doing social activism since the 1966 when the I-95 sort of took over swaths of land and had all these parcels, and then they fought to sort of stop the highway extension, which would have pretty much tore up the entire community. Since then, Madison Park Development Corporation has gone on to develop and better and beautify the whole neighborhood of Roxbury. And also providing community engagement opportunities through the RoxVote Coalition, the Civic Engagement Department, as well as the community action team that we have here at Madison Park, to really engage with the community on a deeper level than just providing folks with a place to live, an affordable unit. It's how can we build a sense of community so that folks can everybody can be involved and we can strengthen the fabric of our neighborhoods.
Now one thing I've noticed over the last decade or so, especially, is that there have been all of these forums around election time that RoxVote has been involved in, and I've seen this really big upsurge in voter participation. So again, is that what we're talking about here, a connection between those things, at least partly?
Definitely, yeah. So the RoxVote Coalition, mainly, we seek to engage the voters in Roxbury to increase voter participation, and our goal usually is to be at or above the citywide average. Now we would like to compare to ourselves to higher performing neighborhoods, sort of like West Roxbury and JP, who tend to vote at a very high rate. But we sort of evaluated across the citywide average as a way to really fairly assess how we're engaging with the voters and the residents, and how we can find ways that we can further engage them beyond sort of the next election. Because I always tell folks, you got to think beyond the statewide and the presidential election and really be tuned into what's going on at your district level, at your county level, because that's where a lot of those interactions happen between the citizen and the government, and that's where you get touched by the police department, the fire department, codes, zoning. All these different small things that affect daily life are really not going to be impacted by your presidential vote. So we always try to get folks to think about the next election is always the most important election, every election.
Well, if people are watching our 5:30 show, there's still a little more time to get dressed and go down to Hibernian Hall and catch the debate party. Tell us what you've got planned, because it's not just the debate that you've got planned tonight.
Yeah, so we have a debate watch party that we're going to be having at the Hibernian Hall. It's going to be free and open to the public. Everybody's invited. We have some great food. I sort of had some reviews back about the regular pizza and salad, and sort of upticked it, and we're going to have some really good pasta, and it's going to be really well catered. But also we have what I'm calling the undercard debate, which is kind of like the Fight Night poster. I don't know if you've seen it on Facebook or social media. But we have the yes on for and the no on for question for legalization of marijuana here in Massachusetts. And we already have the yes on for folks. They're going to be in the building making a presentation on why marijuana should be legalized in the state. And we have some folks that are going to be coming in and giving an argument against that. So.
Talk about the difference between going to watch a debate at an event like this and being at home by yourself or not too many other people.
Yeah, we definitely want to encourage folks to think about community and getting off of the couch and making sure that you're having these conversations with your neighbors. You're having these conversations with the people down the street. You can sit at home and post on Facebook, but at the end of the day, politics is about community. It's about the neighborhood. And that's why we've really been pushing folks to become super voters. We've launched a super voter program, letting folks know that the only way to really be on the radar of a lot of folks that are running for office, or folks that are determining how the services are going to be distributed. It's really important to be at the table every single election, so that you exist to these folks. So
well, yeah, and you exist. In other words, exist means you get some turnout, and they take the neighborhood seriously.
Definitely, yeah. So one example at the Smith House, one of our properties that we have a lot of senior folks that are living there. Right across the street, we have another family development called the Haynes House. Now, that is actually a polling location right in the basement. So you would think the folks from the Smith House, the elderly folks, would be able to go right across the street and vote there. However, that's not the case. They have to go all the way up the street, across Dudley traffic, to go to the Marcus Garvey apartments. We provided rides to the polls, and it was back and forth pretty much there all day. So, I was explaining to the residents now, if we're super voters, we all vote at such a high rate, and we get, a letter together of, 90 registered voters who vote in every single election saying, hey, it would be a lot easier for us to exercise our right to vote if we could, redraw this line and be able to vote right across the street. And it would also be a great way to save resources, because I know the city does spend a lot of money to, get elderly folks to the polls on election day. So just small things like that, and just providing examples in everyday life on how voter participation can just better your life. I always tell folks that, voting in this election is not going to solve all your problems, but it's a step, right? It's a step in the right direction, and we all need to work together to do that.
Well, there's going to be a novelty this year with early voting, a lot more of that than we've ever had before in Boston, and you're going to be involved in making sure people take advantage of that?
Definitely, yeah. So we are going to be promoting the early voting hours and locations through our website and through social media, as well as we're having a Get Out to Vote event at the Bowling Building, which is actually going to be an early vote location on October 29th from 12 to 6. We're partnering with the Spark Boston crew through the city, through the mayor's office, to really have a loud festival type event. Where we're really getting people's attention and bringing them to the polls. So we're going to have a barbecue, free food, as well as some speakers and some music. So it should be a really great event.
Now, of course, another thing that's not so new but still important is voter registration. You've got some activity around that as well? Correct.
Yes. So actually tomorrow is National Voter Registration Day, and Hibernian Hall, Madison Park, is actually one of the host sites for it. So our plan, and we're still a few volunteers short, so if anybody's willing to come down tomorrow from 2 to 4 and help us out, our plan is to get 20 volunteers for 2 hours to register 100 people to vote. So we're all going to get together at 2 o'clock at the Hibernian Hall, 184 Dudley Street in Roxbury. We're going to fan out through Dudley Station, Orchard Gardens, as well as Madison Park Village, and register 100 people to vote. Now, if we hit the 20 volunteer goal, then I think that we can definitely hit the 100 registration goal, because, you're out there for 2 hours. You got, everybody has 2 hours to get 5 people. So I think we should definitely more than double that if we have 20 volunteers.
What's the deadline to register if you want to vote in November?
October 19th. So if you want to vote in the presidential election, you have until October 19th to register to vote.
Now, one thing we should explain to voters, some of them know this, but some of them don't necessarily remember, that if you voted before, you might assume that you're registered, and often that's true, but if you've moved in the meantime, maybe that could be a complication.
Yeah, so when I'm out registering people to vote, the main question that I always tell folks not to ask is, are you registered to vote? Because a lot of the times folks wake up in the morning, they're not thinking, I'm going to register to vote today. They're going to say no and shoo you off. And that's the way that we engage folks. We say, when was the last time that you voted? And then they start to think about it. Sometimes folks may not remember. So then we say, well, have you moved since the last time you voted? And that usually gets folks thinking like, well, I know that at the last place I lived at I voted, but I haven't voted since the new place I moved at. It gets folks thinking, and if they've changed their name, if they've gotten married, these are all important information that we try to collect so we can assess whether or not they need to re-register to vote. Because that's what we encounter a lot of the times. It's not first-time registrants. It's a lot of folks that need to update their information just so they stay current. Actually, I just one of our folks in the resource development office at Madison Park actually just asked me a question about this, and I helped her re-register at her current location. So it's a problem that a lot of folks don't know about.
Yeah, and one thing you don't want to do in a presidential election year is go one place and find out you're supposed to be someplace else.
Yeah. Definitely.
Finally, Ed, if people want some more information about what's happening before the election, you've got a Facebook page they can check out, or a website?
Oh, correct, yeah. So you can visit us at roxvote.org or the RoxVote Coalition on Facebook, and we're also on Twitter.
All right, thank you very much for being with us. Ed Shoemaker from the Madison Park Development Corporation and RoxVote Coalition. We'll have more news in just a moment.